Hi, it's Mike. Another video working with firmware on my Ender 3 v2. I've recently installed BTT SKR Mini E3 printer, and I want to go ahead and customize the firmware so I have all my settings on there. The settings I'm going to try changing are, again, I'm going to try optimizing the firmware, and then at the same time, I'm also going to work to optimize the firmware for Octoprint. And so let me go ahead and get started. Yeah, I've gone ahead and navigated over to the Marlin download page. I've gone ahead and cloned Marlin to my machine. Let me go ahead and show you that. So I have it opened up in GitHub desktop. And I've done a previous video that I'll list at the top that shows how to set up your development environment, what I do, and what I think's best. One of my best practices is I manage all the firmware for all my printers in one repository. So I start off like at a bug fix 2.1x. And once I switch over to that, I want to go ahead and batch upstream just to make sure I have all the latest changes. And then I'm going to go to branch, new branch. I'm going to select bug fix 2.1.x. And I'm going to type in Ender 3 v2 dash SKR Mini E3 dash 3. And that way, again, I have this named exactly so I know which printer it is, which board's in it. I'm just going to hit create branch. And then I'm just going to go ahead and publish that branch to my GitHub repo. Okay, so that's published. And I need to make a couple other small changes in VS Code before I get started. Let me switch over to VS Code. I have my project open VS Code, and I just want to make a couple of checks here before I move forward. So in my prompt, the way I have it set up is which version I have going. Notice right here on this line, it has me in the correct branch. Prompt set up this way, type in git status, and I'll notice again right here has which branch I'm on. So that's correct. So you want to make sure you're always on the correct branch. Now, I already have some stuff in my prompt, so I'm just going to type clear command. Oops, I have to spell it right. So, and clear command just sets it up where fine. So, if I go over and look at Professional Firmware, there is special configurations. In those special configurations, if I scroll down, there's a Ender 3 SKR Mini E3 version 3, and this is a BL Touch Unified Bed Leveling with Linear Advance. I'm going to start with this configuration in there. So there's 4 files that are part of this configuration package. And if I go over into VS Code, back in VS Code, I've opened up those 4 files. So I'm going to go ahead and start copying those back and forth. I'm going to start in the browser, start with Platform IO, and I'm going to go raw and select everything and copy it. And I've selected everything, I've copied it, and I'm going to go back over to VS Code and I'll select everything, paste, and then save this file. So Platform IO is now updated. We're going to go back to the browser, go back over to the special configurations, and I'll go to configuration.h. Go to raw, select all and copy, and then go back over to VS Code, select all, and paste it in, and save it. Next, we'll do configuration.h. Back over in the browser. Go over configuration.h file, go to raw, select all and copy, back to VS Code, I'm on correct file, select all and paste, and save my file. Lastly, I want to do the version.h. Go back over to version.h, special configurations, raw, copy all. I've copied all here, browser, version.h file, go to VS Code, and paste that. Now, there's one other addition I need to make. Configuration.h. You remember the bigtreetech board requires that we have special wiring. And there's actually a check in the software to warn you and won't compile because of that special wiring. So we need to basically tell it to skip that warning because it's already wired. So everything's working. So if you go look towards the top, you can see my video for creating that wire. The software know that you have correct wiring. You're going to go ahead and add this line right here to the to your configuration.h. And if you do this, then everything should compile. So now, let's go ahead and make sure we imported this configuration, that everything is working appropriate. I'm going to go to Auto Build Marvin of the ABM panel, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit Build. And I'll pause the video and back. As you can see, the firmware compiled appropriately, so we're in good shape. So we can now go ahead and start making changes. I've said this before, always go ahead and compile before you start making major change. That way you know you're starting with working firmware. Again, once you've added changes, it can be even harder to try to figure out what the changes are and how things look. First change I'm going to make is I'm going to go over to the versions.h file. And up here at the top has the versions Professional Firmware. So I'm customizing this. I want to be able to look at the info screen on the printer once I've flashed to make sure I've done this correctly. I'm going to go ahead. I add in code here so that way I can check once I've installed to make sure this is installed appropriately. Start with that, and then I'm just going to close the versions.h file, and we'll start over with the configuration. First set of changes I make is usually to optimize for Octoprint, and I have this website I use, and again, this is the description. First thing I'll do is go ahead and activate the speaker. So in VS Code, I'm just going to go over my configuration.h and open up the Find panel. Then I'll paste in the code I want to activate, and I'll go ahead and activate it. Now, while I'm here, I want to look up curve. I think I want to activate S-curve. I want to activate S-curve while we're in this file. Scroll up, and I'm going to activate classic jerk. I'd rather use that than junction deviation. That's a preference of mine. So enabled classic jerk. And then I want to do bilinear. right now it has it set up to do auto bed leveling. I want to do bilinear bed leveling. Have that active. I've gone ahead and activated those, and I'm also going to enable leveling after 28. That, and I'm just scroll here. Now, normally I'd go ahead and set the offsets for my nozzle for the probe. I'm not going to do that today because I'm going to install a new duct system on that printer, and I'll just have to go back in here and update it later. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to save this file. So that's saved. And then I'm just going to go over to configuration for advanced.h. And we'll start with this file, start up at the top. And again, using my configurations web page, I'm just going to go down here and copy LCD progress manually, LCD set progress manually, and we'll find, I think that's already enabled. Yeah, it's already enabled. So keep moving. Next is show remaining time. And I can see that right here. And then we want these two use M73 remaining time. Activate that, and we'll do define rotate progress display. LCD progress bar, let's copy that and we'll find that. Copy LCD progress bar over here and paste that in our find window. Activate that. That's good. We want long file name support. And that's already enabled, so good. Auto report SD status. Enable that. But it's enabled. ARC support. ARC support's enabled, which is good. And now we need block buffer size. This one in 3 places. And I just change all of them to 64. It's never caused me any problems. And then I'm going to change buffer size to 32. Text buffer needs to be 32. And then I want to change line RX buffer size. I want to change that. I want to enable it and then change it to 2040. And these are for communication. And emergency parser, which I believe is already enabled. Oh, check it anyway. It's enabled. Good. Advanced OK. Advanced OK needs enabled. Advanced Plus feature should already be enabled, but let's just check it out. Enable, good. Scroll down, auto report temperature. Auto report temperatures enabled. Auto report position, error. Auto report position, enable that. Down a little. Here we need to enable M114 detail. Enable that, and then M114 real time. Enable that. Let's do extended report capabilities. Already enabled. Good. For fan change. Fan change, not enabled. For that. Then we need meat pack. I use, and we'll have to. Now, because we're enabling meat pack, professional firmware, this enabled right here, which allows you to update the firmware via Octoprint. I don't use that feature. I use meat pack on every print, so I'd rather have meat pack, so I'm just going to disable this. Disabling that function. Next, I'm going to do G-code case insensitive. That. Post action commands. That's enabled, so that's good. And then I also need to enable post start menu item. Need to enable that and save that. We have a couple other small changes. Curve. There it is. So we need to, because I've turned on S-curve, I need to enable the define experimental S-curve. And just in case, we're also going to allow both head that save. Let me just scroll through here a little bit. If anything's jumping out at me. I think we've got everything. But yeah, let's go ahead and go to Auto Build Marlin. I'm going to run a clean. I do my build. And then let's go ahead and hit that. And I'll pause and let that run. I see that's compiled correctly. So let's go ahead and click where it says build firmware.bin, and that'll open up our folder. Yeah, folder's open. I'm going to copy the firmware.bin. Go over to my SD card. Firmware.old, that's my last good set of firmware. I'm just going to leave that right there in case I need it. Paste the firmware.bin right here. I've pasted that in, and then I'm going to eject the SD card and go over to my printer. Okay, so I'm at my printer, and I'm going to head the SD card. I'm going to turn it on. Open me a blank screen. It's going to take a minute. Flash the firmware. And there it goes. Yeah. Now, let's just check things. I'm going to go to Control. Down the bottom, it's Info screen. And you'll notice right here has Professional Firmware, and then has My Update. So I've successfully installed an update to the Professional Firmware. And as you can see, it's fairly easy. Feel free to post any questions, comments below. I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you have any questions, please post them or let me know, and I'll get back to you soon. I appreciate your time. Hope you have a good day. Thanks. Bye.